I never thought changing how I cook would completely transform my health, until I discovered the shocking truth about what happens to our food when we prepare it. My story might just change your relationship with your kitchen forever. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to stay healthy and energetic despite eating seemingly similar foods to yours? The secret might not be what you're eating, but how you're cooking it. Let me take you back to last year, when my doctor gave me some concerning news about my cholesterol levels and inflammation markers. I was genuinely confused. I was eating healthy foods, yet my body was telling a different story. That's when I embarked on a journey that would completely transform my approach to cooking and, ultimately, my health. Like many of you, I was raised in a household where frying was the go-to cooking method. There's something irresistible about that sizzle in the pan and the aroma that fills the kitchen. But what I didn't realize was how drastically this cooking method was altering the nutritional profile of my meals. When I first started researching healthier cooking methods, I was overwhelmed. Steaming, grilling, baking, sautéing, poaching, the options seemed endless. But as I began experimenting, I noticed something remarkable happening. Not only did my meals taste cleaner and more vibrant, but I started feeling different, more energetic, lighter. Even my skin began to clear up. Today, I want to share what I've learned about how different cooking methods affect our food and our bodies. This isn't just about nutrition. It's about reclaiming our health through simple changes in our daily cooking routines. The hidden cost of frying. Let's start with the cooking method many of us grew up with. Frying. I used to love the crispy texture and rich flavor of fried foods. What I didn't love was learning what happens to food during the frying process. When foods are submerged in oil at high temperatures, typically 350 to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, they absorb significant amounts of fat, often increasing their calorie content by 50% or more. Beyond that, the high heat triggers chemical reactions that can create potentially harmful compounds like acrylamide, especially in starchy foods. One evening, I conducted a simple experiment. I weighed a potato before and after frying it as chips. The weight difference was minimal, but the calorie count had more than tripled. This wasn't just about adding calories. The nutritional value had diminished while potentially harmful compounds had increased. The steam revolution. My first alternative was steaming, and it was a revelation. Steaming involves cooking food with a hot vapor from simmering water without immersing the food in the water itself. The difference in nutrient retention compared to boiling or frying is remarkable. Studies have shown that vegetables can retain up to 50% more vitamins and minerals when steamed versus boiled. The reason is simple. Water-soluble nutrients don't leach out into cooking water, and a gentler heat causes less destruction of delicate compounds. I started by steaming broccoli, a vegetable I'd previously only enjoyed roasted with generous olive oil. The vibrant green color alone was enough to convince me I was onto something good, but it was a taste, clean, pure, and unexpectedly sweet. That won me over completely. Within a week of incorporating steamed vegetables into my meals, I noticed I was sleeping better and had more consistent energy throughout the day. Grilling, friend or foe, grilling presented an interesting challenge. On one hand, it's a fantastic way to cook meats with minimal added fat, allowing excess fat to drip away during cooking. On the other hand, research suggests that cooking meats at very high temperatures can create compounds called heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, which have been linked to increased cancer risk in some studies. Rather than abandoning grilling altogether, I learned to modify my technique. Lower heat, shorter cooking times, and marinating meats before grilling can reduce the formation of these compounds by up to 90%. Adding antioxidant-rich herbs and spices to marinades creates a protective effect, with rosemary being particularly effective. The beauty of grilling extends beyond meat. Grilled vegetables develop a smoky sweetness that is impossible to achieve with other methods. My personal favorite discovery was grilled peaches with a touch of cinnamon as a dessert. Proof that healthy cooking doesn't mean sacrificing flavor. The gentle art of poaching. Poaching might be the most underrated cooking method I've discovered. Cooking food gently in liquid kept just below the boiling point, around 160 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, preserves tenderness and moisture while minimizing nutrient loss. Poached chicken breast was a revelation. Tender, juicy, and infinitely more flavorful than the dry baked versions I'd struggled with previously. Better yet, the poaching liquid becomes an instant light broth that can be used as a base for soups or sauces, ensuring no nutrients go to waste. Fish benefits particularly from poaching. The gentle heat prevents the protein from toughening, resulting in a delicate texture that melts in your mouth. After switching to poaching salmon, instead of pan frying it, I noticed the inflammatory redness around my knuckles. Something I hadn't even recognized as inflammation began to fade. Baking and roasting, the versatile duo. Baking and roasting use dry heat in an enclosed environment, allowing food to cook evenly while developing complex flavors through caramelization. The advantage over frying is clear. Little to no added fat is necessary, especially when using parchment paper or silicone baking mats. I discovered that roasting vegetables at 400 degrees Fahrenheit brings out their natural sweetness through caramelization, transforming even bitter vegetables like Brussels sprouts into crowd pleasers. The key is to ensure they're not overcrowded on the baking sheet, which would cause them to steam rather than roast. For proteins, I learned that lower temperatures, around 325 degrees Fahrenheit for chicken, might take longer but result in juicier, more tender meat with fewer potentially harmful compounds forming on the surface. This slower approach also allows flavors from herbs and aromatics to penetrate more deeply. Sautéing, the healthy middle ground. Between steaming and frying lies sautéing, cooking food quickly in a small amount of oil over relatively high heat. The key word here is small. I was shocked to discover I've been using 3 to 4 times more oil than necessary for years. The technique that transformed my sautéing was investing in a quality olive oil mister, which allows me to use just enough oil to prevent sticking while minimizing excess calories. Combined with properly preheated pan, this approach creates food with a satisfying texture and concentrated flavor without unnecessary fat. The results speak for themselves. 6 months after changing nothing but my cooking methods, not even the types of food I was eating, my follow-up blood work showed meaningful improvements. My cholesterol had decreased, inflammatory markers were down, and even my blood glucose regulation had improved. Beyond the numbers, I experienced noticeable changes in my daily life. More consistent energy, better digestion, clearer skin, and even improved mood. The simple act of changing how I applied heat to my food had cascading positive effects throughout my body. What I've learned is that cooking isn't just about making food edible or tasty. It's our first opportunity to influence how that food will interact with our bodies. By choosing gentler, more thoughtful cooking methods, we can maximize nutrients while minimizing compounds that challenge our health. If you're feeling inspired to experiment with healthier cooking methods, start small. Try steaming vegetables you'd normally boil or baking something you typically fry. Pay attention not just to the taste, but to how you feel in the hours and days afterward. Your body has wisdom to share if you're willing to listen. Have you tried any of these healthier cooking methods? Which one are you most curious to experiment with? Click subscribe if you'd like more videos about practical, science-backed approaches to healthier eating. And comment below with your favorite healthy cooking method. I'd love to hear what works for you.